The Pulse of Spokane is a broad show that showcases many different things in our community, sponsored by Local 29 Firefighters Union, Well Dressed Walrus, and Homes for You. Well, welcome to this live edition of the Pulse of Spokane. Kent Adams here. It's supposed to be an absolutely beautiful day, and we'll talk about what that means with fires and so forth as well. Because today I have the fire chief from District 10. Is that right? Did I get that right, Ken?
Yep, Spokane County Fire District.
Spokane County. And so we're going to talk about a lot of things. Most importantly, they have a renewal for their EMS service coming up on the ballot. And we all know how important that is. We'll be back to talk with Ken right after this.
When we opened the doors the first day, we started with a counter full of maybe a dozen selections of a dozen cupcakes. We sold out, and it just went crazy from there. I'm Sally. I run Sweet Frosting's Blissful Bake Shop downtown Spokane. It's almost 40 years of baking for me. We now do between 1,000 and 2,000 cupcakes a day. The variety of cupcakes is kind of like the variety of services that STCU provides for us. Since we opened this site in 2014, they've been our banker. We are producing for 4 stores right here, so we have 35 to 40 employees at any one time. There's an STCU close to virtually every one of my stores, and every time I get a new employee, that's the first place we send them. STCU is such a good fit. It's just so convenient for me to have them as neighbors. They are always so pleasant and always so helpful, and we have a lot of little needs. They've always been behind me 100%, so it's a good thing to have that partnership.
Here at River Ridge Hardware, we carry a great selection of Krylon brand spray paints, Color Master, general purpose, the Rust Protector for taking care of metal, Fusion for taking care of plastics, and the Super Max that can take care of it all.
Well, welcome back. I'm pleased to have Fire Chief Ken Johnson from District 10, Spokane County. Kind of didn't say that in the right order, but I think they get it.
I think so.
These are interesting times, aren't they, with all that's going on? I've got to ask before we get into the nitty-gritty, what do you guys do to protect yourself given COVID-19 and all of that these days? I'm guessing you take some extra precautions, right?
Absolutely. So we've been fortunate enough not to have any exposures that any of our guys have gotten sick.
Oh, good.
So to do that, they wear what we call an N95 mask. It's a little more protected than the cloth mask. And we wear gowns and gloves and eye protection. And then after the call's over, then they remove that stuff and disinfect their hands, vehicles, the equipment that they utilized on scene. And so there's definitely some changes for us.
Yeah.
And it's
more work too.
Lots more work, a lot more steps in our normal process.
Yeah.
And so luckily our dispatch center has the ability to ask ahead of time and help prep them and tell the patient to put on a mask if they have COVID symptoms.
I was going to say, they're doing that these days. I know 911 has been doing that and so forth. My son, who's out at Fairchild, has gone on a couple of calls, and after he's been treating them, then they mention, oh, we've been exposed, or I've been exposed to COVID-19, and it's like,
Yeah,
I wasn't prepared for that.
Yeah.
You know, or as prepared as I could be. So it's really important to tell the 911 operator, yes, the husband has been exposed, or whatever it might be, so that you can go in safely and not waste time doing additional things, right?
Absolutely, and
Yeah.
that's one of the benefits of the testing is the more people that know they have it,
Yes.
the less likely they're going to engage in public activities and stop spreading it. That's why it's the testing so critical.
So it's time for EMS renewal. Is this, what number is this in terms of renewing? Because I'm going to guess it isn't just the second time?
Correct. We first started the EMS levy at Fire District 10 back in 1994.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And we ran our first one at 6 years, and then the next time they ran it was at 10 years.
Okay.
And so it's one of those funding sources for us that's become pretty critical.
It really is. When you go out, I cannot imagine you sending out a crew these days not with EMS assistance and part of the team. And in fact, I've heard, and I don't know what the exact statistics are, but most of the calls these days for the fire department are accidents and things like that.
Correct.
Not for a fire, but to deal with people's health issues.
Correct. Typically, nationally, 80% of the call volume is EMS calls.
Yes.
For us, it's 77%.
Wow. Okay.
And so, that budget is about 15%. So 15% of our budget is funding 77%.
How do you do that on 15%?
Well, being very, very
Frugal.
selective in what you're doing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Being very cautious. It's, because we're paying for fuel. We're paying for operating costs,
course.
maintenance.
Yes.
The trucks themselves aren't cheap, and extrication gear falls right in line with our EMS equipment. And, for us, we're at 15 years with our equipment for extrication gear. So it's time to start looking at
Oh, boy.
replacements. And so, and it costs quite a bit of money to keep our operations going.
But not too much money when you talk about saving somebody's life.
In retrospect, correct.
It really comes down to that. Who do we turn to for heart attacks or an accident or anything else? It's the fire department and EMS.
Absolutely.
It's
So
so vital.
The response times for us is critical.
Yes.
And for the patients.
Yeah.
And so each time we can improve that, the more success we have.
Yeah.
And that includes the equipment. Our guys go through quite a bit of training.
Yeah.
And the ongoing training, we do similar training. We're trying to learn what you are doing right now.
Yeah.
We're trying to figure out how to do our trainings on TV and stream them and get them to our people, because
Right.
we're trying to minimize our contact with our own department.
Okay, from the time you get a call to the time you pull out and send a crew out, how long is that usually on average?
So it takes us anywhere from 30 seconds to a minute to get out the door.
Really? Wow. Okay.
And then once you get out the door, depending on where it's at in our jurisdiction.
There's the travel time, and you can only do so much with the travel time, right?
Absolutely, yeah. 85 square miles. District 10 is 85 square miles.
Yeah.
And in some corners of our district, it can take, 15, 20 minutes to get there.
Really?
Depending on weather.
Yeah. What goes through your crew's thinking as they know they have a 10 or 15-minute drive to go maybe save somebody's life? To me, that would just be really haunting. How do you deal with that with your crew?
So 15, 20 years ago, we had an incident where the radio dispatch was feeding information to the crew, and they're driving, and it's a ways out there, and they're giving them information that's going on, and it was a full arrest of a 12-year-old girl, and she had asthma, and they didn't have an address sign.
Oh, gee.
And so the crews were having trouble locating
Oh, my gosh.
the patient. And, from that incident and knowing, and because we went back and listened to the video or the audio portion
Yes.
of it, and there was some definite stress there.
Oh,
And
I can only believe that.
So if we can't find the people or the addressing's not looking right, that level of stress goes up on the crews.
Is that when we started to put in those green signs with the numbers on them?
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm a big proponent of that, and that's
Yes.
because of that family who
Wow.
we didn't have that available at the time. And so since then, the district has done a great job getting the information out there. And just like our last newsletter, we had at least 20 or 30 people sign up for those signs.
Good.
And so it's critical. So when they're
Seconds count.
absolutely, what's
know?
going through their head is, am I going to find the location? What procedures are we going to do?
Yeah.
What do I need to ask the patient? Do we have the right equipment? What equipment are we going to need? What do
Right.
I need to take in the house?
Wow. I feel stressed just listening to what you said to have to do and be prepared. But with all the training, that really helps, doesn't it?
It does. It does minimize
Yeah.
the stress,
Yeah.
and that's part
Just
of
get rid of it.
Absolutely.
Nothing's going to get rid of it when you're going out to where someone's hurt or dying or whatever. But
Correct. But if we can talk about it with our crews in the trainings, then they're aware of it, so
Yeah.
they can learn how to manage it.
yeah. Let's talk about the levy, replacement levy, which is coming up on August 4th.
August 4th ballot, correct?
Right. Okay. So what all is involved? What does it do to a homeowner? How much are you raising it from before? How long will it last?
We're not going to be raising it. It's
Okay.
a renewal. So right now it's about 50 cents per thousand.
Okay.
And so that's going to, if afterwards in January, if it passes, then it would be the same.
Okay.
So, roughly a home of, let's say, 200,000.
Okay.
It would cost the homeowner $8.33 a month for that.
Okay.
Roughly,
And the only reason that would go up is if the value of the home maybe has gone up a little bit, 5% or 10% in the last couple of years or something.
And
But other than that, and we all know prices have gone up, but
correct.
but it's still based on the percentage the same, which really,
Yeah, and
which-
housing prices are changing rapidly
Yeah.
in this area due to the demand.
yeah. I've heard, you might get a chuckle out of this, that people are selling their homes in Seattle for whatever they can get. They know they can buy a home of better value and everything else for a lot less, especially those that can work remotely and they're moving here. That's even adding to the stress of less than a month's worth of inventory.
Correct. And some larger companies are announcing that this is probably going to be the new norm for
Yes.
the companies.
Yes. What does that mean for you and your district as you look out there? A lot of land to build on?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely new land that's being sold off.
Yeah.
And I personally just bought 10 acres of land that's been in forest for many, many years.
Oh, fun.
In fact, my dad was telling me that, when he was a boy, it was a wheat field.
Oh,
and
okay.
so it's gone to trees, and, they're 40, 50-foot trees now.
Oh, fun.
And so that whole area is now sold off. The farmer who owned it, the family must have just recently sold it off, and
Yeah.
so they're developing that area. So, and that's happening everywhere. And so
Yeah.
we're going to see over the years, we're going to see that infill of property that's being sold off, and people building homes on it.
Well, things west of here are growing. I mean, you think about the Amazon facility, you think about the other things going on. I know Habitat for Humanity is going to kick off a project out in Airway Heights. I think it's this August. So, that's a place to go.
Uh-huh.
The city of Spokane is pretty well filled, and yes, there's some room out in the valley, but a lot more industry and a lot more jobs out in that area and so forth. So I think that's kind of where the next move is going.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So the replacement levy at the same rate. What does that? Is that one truck? Is that two trucks? Is that three people on average? Staffing. I wanted to say man the facilities, but I don't know that you're supposed to say man it anymore. So staffing.
Staffing, yeah, that's
yeah,
better.
Yeah. Okay.
So overall, it's about 15% of our budget.
Yes.
And so with that, it funds 2 firefighters, it funds a deputy chief officer, and replacement of equipment. We also, out of that funding, we pay for a medical director that helps guide our program,
Okay.
our medical program. And so with our training, we train about 10 to 15 of our members each year in to be an EMT.
So the rest of the staff is also trained too, right?
Correct.
Okay, so it's not just those two and someone in charge.
Correct. It's just how we break up the funding
Okay.
overall.
Okay. What does it take to really get certified to do EMS these days?
So for a EMT,
Okay.
and that's emergency medical technician,
Right.
it takes about 240 hours.
Oh, wow.
So the class itself is around 100, and so another 10 hours, maybe it's 110 hours, and then another 10 hours for the training. The actual 240 actually comes for the firefighter training. So after
Okay.
they're done with that, the EMT portion is another 120 hours. So some of that includes classroom, some of it includes going to the actual right along with either the ambulance company or going in the
Right.
hospital, the clinical portion.
But
of
it's
it.
constant training, though, isn't it?
It's
because
constant.
you're always learning something new, and there are new and better ways to improve. Plus, you might not have been on that kind of a call for a few weeks, and you got to be up on what's going on.
Correct.
Yeah.
There's always, equipment changes. There's
Sure.
New protocols that come out. Our doctors who come in and teach will pass on information from studies that they're learning from.
Okay.
And those guidelines are constantly being modified throughout the year.
So where can people get more information for District 10's levy renewal?
You can always call the station.
Okay.
We have people that can answer. We also have flyers on our website that explain any questions that people might have. And they're generic questions overall,
Yeah.
just the most common that we've run into.
Right.
Because people want to know just the basic information. They don't, we don't present both sides of for and against. It's typically just what is available to the public and just stating the facts, trying to be neutral with it.
Yeah. Good. All right. So call the station, and everybody knows how to call the station, right? Is there a special phone number they should use? Probably not 911.
Correct. We have a business line that'd be more appropriate.
Yeah.
And on our website, that definitely
Okay.
has some different numbers you can call.
All right.
But most of the information's available on
Yeah.
the internet.
Well, I'll tell you, there is nothing more important than supporting fire, police, especially the EMTs and so forth that are out there literally saving lives and so forth. And so this is, to me, is a no-brainer. So, all right, best of luck to you, all right?
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate
You're
it.
absolutely welcome. Good to see you. Thanks for watching the Pulse of Spokane. See you next time.
Join us at Paint Night, where you release your inner artist, hosting events in Spokane and surrounding areas. We are the party on wheels and can come to your choice of locations. We specialize in private events, corporate team building, and fundraisers. We are the original Paint Night and want you to join in the fun. Check us out at www.paintnight.com, and we always offer $10 off with the code SPOKANE10.
Hi, I'm Dave Lucas, running to be your state senator. I'm a husband, father, and Marine veteran with almost 22 years of experience. I know during this current medical emergency and time of uncertainty, people are concerned. I hope you and your family are doing well. I have the experience, leadership, and training to move us past this crisis. To learn more about me and my campaign for state senator, please follow me on my Twitter, Facebook, or my website at votedavelucas.net. Thank you, and stay well.
To help you be safe, Washington state law requires you to call 811 2 full business days before you plan, for example, to dig, drill, plow, pull from, or pound anything into the ground. Be prepared to provide the operator with the correct address, cross street, and the description of your work. You must mark the dig area with white paint. The operator will inform you of the utilities notified of your impending excavation. Wait for all their marks. Be safe and dig with care.
When building a home or considering a major remodel, who are you going to choose? The Spokane Home Builders Association is an organization that works to elevate professionalism in the residential construction industry. We promote, protect, and educate for our community, building our community one home at a time. We are the Spokane Home Builders Association.
Thanks for watching. Ask the host a question, recommend a guest, or check out any of our other programs on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or SpokaneTalksMedia.com. Sponsored by Local 29 Firefighters Union, Well Dressed Walrus, and Homes for You.